Consequence. If you act angrily, is that anger an act or a consequence? Something has triggered you, and as a consequence you are angry. And the same consequence, which is anger, continues for a while. That continuing consequence's action at that moment, example, throwing away something harshly by hand, using foul language, etc., are also consequences, not actions. Although we identify it with action, yet it is a consequence. Anger is a consequence of something. Throwing something by hand or using foul language is a consequence of anger. Hence, only consequence exists. Action is not. Similarly, happiness, sorrow, envy, fear, and all the rest are consequences. And the actions which come out of these are also consequences. You are the continuation of consequences. Your body is in a particular complexion. Your eyes may be large or small, your face beautiful. But these are all consequences of something. Your character, your emotions, your views, your wishes, all are consequences of something. The actions which you think you do are really not actions, but consequences. In reality, action is not. Only consequence is. No one acts. Everyone are consequences. Consequence of what? Of previous act? No, not at all, because previous act is also a consequence of something. One has never acted at all either now, or in the previous, or still in the most previous, and one will never act at all in the future also. Since the illusion of action exists, the illusion of actor seems to exist. Since the elusive actor seems to exist, individuality seems to exist. Since individuality seems to exist, many others seem to exist. Since many others seem to exist, fear of protection seems to exist. Since fear of protection seems to exist, choice seems to exist. Since choice seems to exist, various paths seem to exist. Since various paths seem to exist, ignorance seems to exist. Since ignorance seems to exist, sin and virtue seems to exist. Bowing the head completely to the noble saints of the past, let us see this issue of actions. The saints of the past, in all the directions of the globe, have taught many things to the people of this world to attain truth, divinity, righteousness, serenity, bliss, and so on. Different saints of the past prescribed different paths, such as the path of devotion and love, the path of yoga, that is, union with the divine, the mental path, such as concentration or choiceless awareness, the path of cessation of the I, the path of inaction via surrender, the path of identification with the divine, the path of contemplation on one's I am, and so on and so forth. Besides this, there were and are many people around the world who pretend to be enlightened or pretend to be the knower of divine, and who claim themselves as masters by dressing themselves like a clown, show various paths to the people which are funny and valueless. There are still other bogus people who hold some book and shout to the audience, preaching the people their own condensed ignorance. These types of people, who by themselves had never confronted the real, preach the whole world about attaining the real. They argue and justify their act by quoting some saint's words or quoting from some texts which may be 2000 or 4000 years older. To what one quotes doesn't matter because anyone can quote anything for their act of selfishness, ignorance, arrogance, and domination. Billions of human beings, even if they could comprehend the paths which the saints had prescribed, were and are unable to attain serenity, peace, and truth in their life. This is the fact. Now, the path or act of devotion, surrender, cessation of the I, choiceless awareness, identification with the divine, merging the mind in the consciousness and the like, had been possible by those noble saints only after seeing or feeling the divine's presence in them, never before that. On feeling the divine's presence and action in oneself, devotion, surrender, cessation of the I, choiceless awareness, identification with that divine, merging the mind in that divine are all consequences of it. Devotion, surrender, cessation of the I, choiceless awareness, identification, merging the mind and the like are not actions that a human being can possibly perform. Due to the misunderstanding of this, we human beings grope in the dark for thousands of years. Peace and serenity seem to exist only in words and lectures. Now, can one very vividly see the truth of this and stay with this understanding? For one who understands this will also understand that attaining peace, divine, and the truth is not at the end as a consequence of one's act. It should be the first attainment for devotion to happen and for the ignorant mind to get merged in it. Unless one first feels the divine's presence and action in oneself, right path which takes to peace, joy, freedom, and serenity is not possible. Conversely, a human being first chooses a particular path which their saints had prescribed, either it be devotion, yoga, or being indifferent to the mind and the like, and hopes that by sincerely acting it, one can reach the divine or peace at last. But indeed, primarily on feeling the presence of the divine and its actions in oneself, one would be automatically shown and taken in a particular path by the same divine itself to attain the same divine to the fullest, wherein lies peace, bliss, freedom, and immortality. It is like giving the taste of water to a thirsty person, and from there on showing the path to the river. It doesn't stop with showing the path alone. It will hold one's hand and make a person walk that path until one touches that river. Such is the divine. Therefore, to feel the presence of the divine and its actions in oneself should be the primary aim of a person. For it to happen, should one do anything or should one see oneself? Is not by seeing alone one will be shown. In seeing oneself, one will be shown what is oneself. To see oneself, one should not see one's mind because mind is nothing but one's imagination. Imagination consists of an imaginary you who experiences imaginary fear, happiness, grief, and all the imaginary feelings which will always be in a flux. The whole stream of mind and its experience is mere imagination. Therefore, one should see and settle only with one's own physical body. If one sees or observes one's own physical body and its divine automatic movements, one would start feeling the presence of the most sacred acting within. One would be automatically placed in their real I am, which is ever peaceful and serene, and which is one's own self already. Those who touch the most sacred, the most holy, by seeing and being with one's own physical body, will be washed from ignorance which causes sins and virtues.